Good evening, gentlemen. Today we will talk about G7, which means group of seven. So, let's begin. First is the introduction. So, G7, it is basically a group of top 7 economies of the world, and it is an intergovernmental political forum that contains the world's top economies. These are when it was formed, they were top 7 economies of the world, and it includes Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the European Union. So, except this European Union is not included in the 7, and rest of the 7 countries are there, and EU is additionally as a member of that, which is a permanent member, so it is also included in them, but not counted in the 7. And after that, these G7 countries consist of 10% of the world's population, and they have over half of the world's net wealth. That means over 200 trillion US dollars wealth is consisted in these 7 countries only. Apart from that, 46% of the world's GDP is also accounted by these 7 countries only, including EU also. And now coming to history, the history of this G7 dates back to 1973, when it was formed, and it was known as Library Group. At that time, only Germany, UK, and US. Germany, UK, US, and France. These were the 4 countries which were the part of this group earlier in 1973. But when the first meeting was held in mid 1973, it was said that they should also include Japan in it, and finally Japan was also included, and they formed group of 5, G5, 4 plus 1, G5. And in 1975, Italy also joined it, and this group was called as G6. So finally, Canada also joined this group in 1976, and the group came to known as G7. This is what is the presently here, but in 1997, Russia was also included in this, and it was called G8. As you know that Russia was, after the World War, Russia was, the USSR got dissolved into Russia, and it was only included because so that the ties between these European countries and Russia can be sorted out, as it was not the top economies of that time, and because it was having many sanctions, and today also it is around 8th or 9th economy in the world, and not in the top 7 economies. So, but Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 from Ukraine, and finally it was removed from the G8, and later the group became G7, which is presently, till now it is G7 only. Apart from that, there are several countries like India, South Korea, which are we can say them permanent only, permanent guest members only, because they both countries are having the part in all the meetings. Apart from that, Australia and Brazil. So all these 4 countries also are all these four countries are the permanent, we can say permanent, not permanent, they are the guest members of this group. They are not a part of it, but they are included in each and every meeting, and in decision making their role is also important somehow. And after that, what is the importance of G7? The importance of G7 is that it addresses global economy, as we know that when it was formed, it was top 7. They are the top 7 economies of the world, although they are not now, because China and India are not included in it, which are 2nd and 5th economies of the world. So still they address the global economy and take the decision according to that only, so that the economy of the world, because they consist of around 46% of the GDP and over half of the wealth of the world, so they know what decision to make, and these all countries are considered to be developed countries also. So they also address political issues of the world. Whenever their meetings are held, they also discuss on the political issues, or we can say these geopolitical issues also. Like in recent meetings, they have been talking about Russia-Ukraine war. Earlier, also they talked about Iran and all these, and it has helped in combat with HIV and AIDS, and they also helped in tackling Ebola virus, because these were the countries which are mainly harmed by these two, and so they tackled these also. And in 2015, these countries signed a Paris Agreement when the meeting was held in Paris, and for the climate change, and they have taken various steps so that climate change can be to change the climate, because global warming is increasing, and they have planned to make the world carbon free by 2050. So they are taking various steps in it, so they play an important role. But still there are various places where they have been criticized, as one of the major issues is that it is outdated. Because as I mentioned, that India and China both are not included in it, so these are not the top 7 economies now. Still the name is G7, and is referred to as the top economies, and they have limited members, because the same is the reason they have only 7 members, so they must include at least 10 to 12 members, so that the decision making can be easy. And no longer the top economies, because China and India, same is the reason for this also. Because they both are not included in it. And after they focus only on developed countries only, as we know that hypocrisy of the USA and this European Union, that they only consider themselves, they always talk about themselves only. So it is also a major concern, where they are criticized by various developing countries, and the decisions which they take are mainly focused on their development only, not on the development of other parts of the world, and not the poorer or the developing countries. Rather, they take several times such decisions which stop the developing countries to become developed. And finally, we can conclude that still this group remains an important platform, where the top economies come and have a platform to discuss on the global issues, apart from political and economic views. They also talk on social matters also. So this is a great group and will still continue, and maybe it can have more members as in 2020 Trump when Trump was the president of United States. He said that the group should include India, Australia, and in Australia, Brazil in it, so that this group can be more increased and could have better decision making process. So that's all for today. Thank you.